What I do on Instagram is I do a lot of visual motivation. And so these are some of the things that I do is I'll take a picture and really hone in on what do people need to hear today? What am I experiencing that I want to put in a visual form? Because we know that some people are audible learners, but some people get it visually. And so this is one of the things I created that we need to stretch beyond our limits today. And that's what I want us to do. So it's important for you, Blake, to understand that you were born to lead. How many of you are leaders of organizations here? Okay. How many of you are in organizations? Maybe you're in the organization, but you're not in a position of, okay. And how many of you are not, you're just here, you want to learn, you just want to kind of grow as a person? Well, you all should be raising your hand about wanting to grow. Okay, so we have some folks in the room who are leaders. Some of you are in position, and some of you are in organizations. And the one thing that my platform, wherever I go, I talk about the idea of purpose. If you don't know who you are, okay, it really does impact your pride and the performance that you put upon yourself and that you display to others. You have to know who you are. And one of the things that I totally believe is that when you were born, leadership was placed inside of you. Inside of you. Skills and abilities, things that you're able to do that somebody else can't do, that was placed inside of you at birth. You didn't just all of a sudden become a leader. You've been a leader. And when you think about growing up, there were times when you were placed in positions to lead. Can you attest? Can anybody attest to that? Before you got to Penn State, you were placed in a position. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're a speaker, whether you're an older brother, older sister, whether you're in a civic organization, a nonprofit organization, your school organization, whether you just stood out and a professor or a mentor grabbed a hold of you and saw something in you, you were born to lead. And we really need to understand that leadership didn't just start, but leadership was planted inside of you at birth to do something that you and only you can do. So your impact at Penn State, it has to be great because you're doing what you were born to do, okay? This is another visual that I put out on Instagram. And I love this. You were born with a unique set of skills and talents that are designed to do something only you were born to do. Right? So when you pass on being a leader, or when you pass on an opportunity to step out from the crowd of people, you pass the opportunity to do something that you were probably born to do, Blake. So when the opportunity arises for you to step out, right? Or your professor or your mentor or somebody in the office or MT says to you, yo, bro, I need you to do blank. Hey, I see this in you. How about you do it? You say, no, that's not really me. That's not, I'm too nervous. Like, right, I'm scared. Come on. It is in you to do. And that's why we have to stretch. We've got to become so mindful of the idea of stretching beyond what we're doing, beyond the comfort zone. If you are comfortable right now in your leadership, or you are comfortable where you are as a student, then it's time for you to stretch. Somebody say stretch.
Stretch.
It's time for us to stretch because you have a unique set of gifts and talents that you and only you can do. And you can pass the buck and say, well, I'll let so-and-so do it. They can do it better. You were designed to do it. You might have to stretch yourself, but you were designed to do it. Does that make sense? So, it's so important to know yourself to improve yourself, okay? You have to be mindful of who you are and what you need. I would say, for me, I enjoy speaking. I do. But what stretches me is when Periscope, this whole idea, and I'm very big on social media connection, I'm a communications media major, and I erred on the side of speaking, training, but I really am fascinated by social media and the different apps that you can use to connect with people in many different ways. It's scary, but I really, really enjoy it. And so what happens is when I first, started becoming aware of Periscope and the live streaming, the fact that you can sit just in your office and talk to folks and impact them in that way, it scared me, right? Because now, you see me, right? You see everything. But it stretched me. And I'll give you a quick story. I was supposed to come to this area in, I think it was January, to do a workshop for MT's wife and a friend of ours in Carlisle. And we were going to do, my platform right now is Purpose, but I also have kind of themed it Revive to Live. And so I want to do 10 Revive to Live events this year. I set that goal. And my first Revive to Live event was supposed to be here in Harrisburg area. And it stormed. That big storm we had, like, y'all shut down. I was like, I'm still coming, Denise. I'm still packing up, right? It's like 2 degrees out, right? I'm like, I'm coming. I'm driving. I'm getting on the turnpike because I know I'm doing my Revive to Live. I'm coming. Then she texted me and said, okay, well, the university shut down. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not coming, right? But the idea was, do it on Periscope, right? Do it on Periscope. And so I went to my office, I set everything up, I had my screen, I pulled it up behind me, I did everything. I was like, okay, I've already prepared it, right? I'm ready to go. Went forth, it was really good. I was talking, going, just moving, shaking, just people were exchanging information, and all of a sudden the lights in my office shut off. Because I forgot that it censored lights, and I didn't even think about it. So we're in the dark, talking about revive yourself, revive. You can do it in the dark, right? But that's the kind of thing that we must do to better ourselves, to stretch ourselves. And so I've taken care of the lights, but most importantly, I'm not afraid to get in front of people and speak on a Periscope or a live stream and be vulnerable. It's vulnerable. But we got to stretch ourselves to be better. Somebody say stretch yourself.
Stretch yourself.
All right. Okay, so everything, this is just a quote. There's a book, The Truth About Leadership. Everything you will ever do as a leader is based on one audacious assumption. You matter. You are a leader. And I can imagine some of the organizations that, on the campus, I'm not particularly over the social organizations, but I know that some of the organizations, you can't tell me that there isn't conflict. Issues, right? People disagree. People don't like the idea. People miss the meeting. It said they were coming, and it's important because they have the notes. Or, people are fickle. And so you put all this work in, and they say they're coming, and they don't come, right? But you have to understand that those things do not affect the leadership that is within you. You have to keep moving, and you have to keep pressing and pushing yourself because you matter. And when you recognize and are confident in what you've got going on, then we'll talk later, but we're going to talk about how that impacts other people. Okay, so this is one of my favorites that I created. The greatness that is in you just can't be Googled, right? Listen. If you don't hear anything else from me, I definitely want you to know that you are significant and you were born for this. If you had a question about your leadership, if you had a question about what you're doing, if you have a question about the people that you're working with, the impact that you're having, you've got to understand you were born for this. You were designed for this. You're supposed to be here at Penn State Harrisburg, and you're supposed to be in the position that you're in. And now we want to move to the next level. And there's greatness inside of you that you don't even know exists. It can't even be Googled. They can Google Malaika Turner, but they can't Google the resilience. They can't Google that I failed out and came back. They can't Google that. You know what I'm saying? They can't Google, how do you pronounce your name, Amir? Amir. They can't Google what you've been through and what you've come out. They can't Google the strength that's inside of you. They can't Google the influence that's inside of you. The greatness that is inside of you is for you. I'm getting hot. This is good. Y'all okay? We all right?
Yeah.
All right. So I sort of had given you my account of my experience initially, but I want to talk to you. I was thinking as I was preparing this, I said to myself, what was my significant time that I can remember being a leader, right? We've talked about purpose. Everybody has a purpose. You all are here for a reason. Now you're here in this room at a leadership symposium. There's something inside of you that's hungry for more than what other people are here for, and that's good stuff. How many people are here? About 5,000? How many students are? All right, 4,572. Now that's somebody who works here, right? And so, but how many of you are here? Right? Because there's something that you want, there's something more that you desire, there's something inside of you that is hungry for just a little more, right? But I remember my account of being a leader, like what sticks out to me. There were a few different things, but I was thinking about when I went to Catholic school from 1st to 12th grade. But the Catholic school girls, yes, amen, yes. Uniform, the whole nine, right? And I wouldn't trade it. Right, I wouldn't trade Catholic school. I had the ruler experience with the sister, and sister, the nuns. You know what I'm saying? But I remember one time a group of girls and I who were from the neighborhood, because my school was in the neighborhood, like in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It was like across the street from it was in the neighborhood. And thank God my grandmother lived right across the street, right? So you just go, okay, and go in the house. But it was this great big Catholic school, and the Catholic church was like right behind it. And I loved it. I loved Catholic school. I would wear uniforms again, right? But we used to go outside and play in the play yard, and we used to have a choir, right? And first we started out just singing, right? Then it was like, well, you stand here, and then you stand here. All right, now let's go. Are we ready? Okay, now everybody, this is like 4th grade. Okay, everybody, girl, you're not marching right. Come on, I need you to come this way, right? And I found myself being the choir director. 4th, 5th grade, right? Along with another woman who used to do it with me, Tammy, she's a woman now, but Tammy Scurry, she used to do the same thing. But it struck me that at that time, people listened to what I said. You know, people would grab a hold of, when I say, oh, that doesn't sound right, you should sing it this way. I've been hearing music all my life, so it was like, you know, people listened to me. And that was my first account with, I am a leader, right? I do this thing called the pill. Not the pill, but the Purpose in Life line. Okay, I've created this. It's the Purpose in Life line. I didn't bring it for this event because it talks more geared towards purpose in some other areas. But the Purpose in Life line shows that from day one, when we were born, purpose was inside of us. And what happens is that life happens. Okay? So things have happened in my life growing up where even though purpose was deposited in me at birth, it didn't grab a hold of me because all kinds of rough things happened in my life. And so it wasn't until I got to college that I realized, wait a minute, I have purpose. I am somebody. I'm supposed to be here for a reason, and I need to get it together because there's something that I was born to do. It's the same thing with leadership. I'm going to just go out there and say, when each one of you were born, leadership was placed inside of you. There's a purpose for all of you. But some people have purpose, and some people are meant to go just a little further. And that's why you're here. And so that was my experience with, wait a minute, people are listening to me.